In this episode of the Exploring Information Security podcast, workshopping a cybersecurity keynote presentation at ShowMeCon.
Computers now have primary control of critical functions.
Houston, recommend vector transfer.
Your go for APU shutdown on time.
Roger, go for deploy.
Nice to be in orbit.
Welcome to the Exploring Information Security podcast, where you will learn, explore, and grow your security mindset. I am your host, Timothy D. Block, and in this episode, we will be exploring workshopping a cybersecurity keynote. With me to do that is Amanda Berlin, Senior Product Manager at Blumira. Show notes can be found at exploresec.com/EIS. Feedback for the show, timothy.dblock@exploresec.com. You can also hit me up on LinkedIn if you want to connect. Would love to. Just let me know you listen to the podcast and I will connect with you. You can also rate the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. That's what really helps grow the show, is more people giving ratings and subscribing. So ShowMeCon, this is another ShowMeCon episode. Conference dates are June 9th and 10th, and then training is June 6th through 8th. The training opportunities are forensics, intrusion detection, mastering InfoSec, hands-on hacking, API pen testing, and web app pen testing will both be one-day courses. So, and I'm going to have all of the trainers on the podcast to talk about what they're training about. Already did one with JC. Go check that one out. He's doing the forensics one. Really great conversation. You'll get a ton out of the course. So would definitely recommend, but we got some other really great ones coming up as well. So really excited to be talking to those folks, and should definitely check them out. And if you want to save $50 on either training or a ticket to ShowMeCon, put in Exploring Sec in the promo field and you can get $50 off. Let's see what else. Looks like Ameristar Casino Resort is the hotel. So before April 24th, you need to book, and you can get $189 a night, which is a steal for a place like that, because it's a really great town. I bring my family every year so that they can go hang out around town. There's a bunch of free stuff. We'll be there as well too. You know, they like to use the hotel pool where there's music underwater. So, if you're looking for something to kind of get away, have a little mini vacation. If you have a spouse and or kids, this is a great opportunity to bring them, because there's stuff to do at the hotel. You can go out to St. Charles and go down to St. Louis. It's just a really great spot. So I'm really excited for it. So this one was a little bit all over the place, because I like to have people come on and talk about what they're going to talk about at ShowMeCon. And in Amanda's case, she was told she's keynoting, so it's not like you're just going to go. She talked about Sysmon last year. We did a Sysmon podcast, which was really informative from a technical standpoint. But usually keynotes are a little bit more generalized, so it's for a larger audience. So I'm really excited to see her keynote. You can hear us talk about some of the challenges of putting presentations together, because whenever you submit a CFP, you have an idea and a concept, maybe an outline together. You definitely put an abstract together, but your presentation isn't built yet. So I imagine a keynote is very similar. And so we kind of just talked through some of that. We talked about some of the other stuff going on within cybersecurity. You'll hear that Dave is giving me a booth this year at ShowMeCon, so I'll have my own booth, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with that. So if you have any ideas, absolutely hit me out. I'm timothy.dblock@exploresec.com or LinkedIn. So, but yeah, I'm really excited. Really excited to catch up with everyone at ShowMeCon, and hopefully I get to see you there. One final note, I want to apologize for the audio on this episode. I had the wrong mic set up for the actual recording, so that's why I sound like I'm in a well. So with that, let's get into it.
So I did dry sort of. I started it 2 days before New Year's, because I didn't have any plans for New Year's, and I was like, I might as well just start it now, because I started it on New Year's. The next, it's like, oh, I'm gonna start it, and then 4 days in, I'm like, I'm done. But I was motivated to just try it. I took it more of as an experiment this year. I think partly too, talking to like Jen at Sober and Cyber,
right?
And just I wanted to try it, see what it was. Interestingly enough, the first week was great, and then for whatever reason, I don't know if my body's just used to it, but like on the weekends, I would start having bad sleep. And it's a lot like we're talking about where it's stress
Really?
stuff, but I'm also doing more with the company. I'm taking over a local user group that I helped start back in Columbus and then turning it into an online community now. I'm doing ShowMeCon stuff now. And last year I was unemployed, or I was fun employed, technically I was employed with my own company, but I was paying myself and I wasn't making any money.
Right.
January and February, like it was just busy because I was trying to get all these podcasts recorded, but it's like now I have a full-time job. So it's like, I think some of that stress on top of all that was really forced. And I like the weather too just sucks. So I couldn't get outside, but it's that catch-22. It's like, I have stress. I know I need to work out, but I don't have any sort of energy to work out because I'm tired because I didn't get great sleep last night.
Right.
And I was getting too much sleep too, honestly. Like I slept 2 nights in a row, like 9.5 hours. And it's like, I found my sweet spots at 7.5. So I think my body was too well rested, if that makes sense.
We're supposed to get, I can't remember what us old people now are supposed to get, but I thought it was 8. Like maybe it's not, but
my fitness trackers always said 9, and I've always found 7.5 is my sweet spot. If I go to sleep for 7.5 hours, like I feel the most energized and most refreshed when I wake up.
I'm trying to think, because I usually go to bed at 11 and get up at 6:30. So yeah, that's about right.
7.5. Yeah. Well, and did you get in bed or did you fall asleep at 11?
I get in bed at 10.
Yeah. See, now I've started getting in bed at like 9 hours before, thinking I'll read, but like a half an hour in, I'm falling asleep because I'm reading. And that's a relaxing activity. And that also tells my body, hey, we're about to go to sleep. So get ready.
Yeah, I'm a geek. I do the New York Times crossword puzzles.
Oh, that's cool.
And the one for tomorrow always comes out at 10 p.m.
The early bird gets the worm if you do it the night before. That's great.
Yeah. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm usually good. I can get those done without any help. By the time I get to Thursday, it's usually a group effort. Thursday through Sunday is a group effort between Matt and I.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
it's just fried or just
I'm just not that smart. There's a lot of words that I don't know. There's a lot of.
Is this a week-long crossword puzzle or is it daily?
Every day. Yeah, every day they have one.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
And it gets like Monday's easy. And then as it gets to Sunday, like Sunday's the hard one.
Mm-hmm.
So like people that can do like the New York Times crossword puzzle without any, like on the actual paper, without anything checking their answers, like they're geniuses.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
Yeah. Yeah, my brother-in-law was doing that when I saw him over the holiday. So, and my mom was doing Wordle. I don't know if you've ever tried Wordle at all.
Yeah, every day.
Wordle was interesting. I thought that was a little bit more fun, but I feel like I just get frustrated with it.
Yeah, I'm on a 62-day streak or something, I think.
Of just doing it, or
getting it right.
Oh, so yes, because you only get what, like 5 guesses?
So yeah, 5 or 6. I can't.
4 or 5. Yeah, I don't know. I just get up and work out is kind of my routine. Did you figure out what you're doing for ShowMeCon?
I did not yet.
No. Do you want to workshop it right now? Because we talked about that.
We can workshop it.
Are you keynoting?
I am keynoting.
Did Dave send you the official?
Nope.
Okay. Well, you are now. Whatever.
He told me. He was actually on a phone call with somebody that he works with, and then like people at Blumira. He told me during this call, he's like, "Oh yeah, and I love Amanda. Like she's keynoting." I'm like, "What?" When you never told me I was keynoting.
He did that. Well, I mean, he did that to me on the podcast where he's like, "Oh, you're the voice of ShowMeCon." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Now, how can I explain this? Huh?
He can do that. He's running the show.
Well, it's his thing. Yeah. But I feel like he does that, and then like he's told me before I've been keynoting. Have I ever keynoted ShowMeCon? No. That's why I was like,
maybe I should wait.
No, we're doing it. Like I honestly, if he forgot about it, we're just gonna be like, this is recorded. Like,
yeah,
guess what you're doing? You're gonna have to figure out the times. I did talk him into let me MC for him. Okay. I feel like I want to do that, but 2, I feel like he gets up there and he's like, okay, what was I supposed to talk about? And it's like, if you just give me, I'll do it. I'll do all the logistics. You go up there, have fun, Dave, and then I'll come up behind you and do all the reminders on stuff and
right.
Maybe try out some jokes, some stand-up comedy. If anyone's got some good dad jokes, I would absolutely. If you listen to this podcast and give me a dad joke, I will absolutely read it on stage.
Yes, I've always wanted to try stand-up, but I think it would work better at a security conference because all of my jokes are going to be about tech.
Mhm.
Maybe some about parenthood, but mostly about that.
Oh yeah, I've had an inherent one of my favorite moments speaking, and this was at ShowMeCon. Was I cracked a joke, and it got a huge laugh, but it was one of those jokes that I didn't even realize it was a joke. But it was a joke to everybody else. It was we were talking about virtualizing, getting VirtualBox or VM.
Yeah.
And I think someone asked a question about like how do you get the license, and I was like, well, I got ways around that. And then everyone just started busting out laughing, and I was like, well, no, and it wasn't even intentional, like because it was like there's an actual legitimate way, not like I'm hacking something,
Sure.
But it got everybody, and I was just happy. And it is interesting when you get up there. Because all you need is like one person to laugh, and then it's kind of like social proofing. It's like a social engineering concept of like other people feel like they have to laugh,
right?
And so you can say the corniest thing.
Right.
And you'll get a few people to laugh, and then everybody else is laughing. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. One of my favorite, I think I did this at ShowMeCon too. I was like, all right, everybody stand up. All right, now everybody sit down. I was like, I love this power. I just love it. That's all it was.
Well, when I was at SaintCon, I don't remember if I told you or not. Jack Resider did the keynote the first day, and at the end, he's like, I've always wanted to do this because I don't think he doesn't really do much public speaking like in person. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I can't remember which one he did, but it was like, hey Siri, call mom. And like
the entire room,
random phones throughout the entire audience started lighting up and calling their moms.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like people walking into it home and just saying, Alexa, order 2 gallons of petroleum jelly.
It just listened to you. It turned.
Wait, hold on. I gotta cancel my order. I forgot my kids have Alexa. Alexa, cancel order. Like I'm not even kidding.
It has one item in it. Smoothie pouches variety pack. Would you like to cancel it?
No, Alexa, what's the current order that I just made?
I didn't find any open orders.
Now mine's talking.
Fruit smoothie pouches variety pack. Would you like to cancel it?
No, we're good. Okay. I forget. Like I don't do that stuff. I am the worst IT and security person. I've changed the password on my Wi-Fi, and that's about it. Like anyone that wants to break into my house can absolutely do it.
Nobody's near me anyway, so.
Right. But yeah, my kids love Alexa. That's how they listen to music and stuff. So
it's good. I mean, honestly, sure, it listens to you all the time, but it's so great for using as an intercom system for kids.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, my kids did that, and I didn't even realize it. So they were talking in the night. Yeah,
all the time.
And they loved it. They thought it was cool. It's like, and it was just walkie-talkies. That's all it is.
Yep. Yeah. That way I don't have to scream across the house when dinner's ready. Like, just drop in. It's fantastic. Yeah. Yes. I don't really know what I'm going to talk about. I thought about doing something because I'm new to product, about how to work well in your company with product, but I don't necessarily know that translates to a lot of people.
Well, you
have to be like a product company.
Yeah, but are you doing more marketing? Do you feel like you're doing more marketing?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just because, like, I feel like some of those, like, I don't know. Is there any sort of user experience thing that you have to be concerned with? Like, okay, what is the?
That's 100% what I'm dealing with. So it's like you're trying to figure out the problems to solve.
But are you doing it just specifically from a security perspective?
Mine is heavily based in security. So like the problem I'm solving right now is response actions tied to detections, right? So like this thing fires, somebody would rather, instead of waking up in the middle of the night, to log into Azure or Entra, find the user, disable, revoke the token, all of that, like it just should work, right? Mm-hmm. They should be able to set it up and it should solve that problem for them so they don't have to wake up in the middle of the night.
And this is from an analyst standpoint?
Yeah, analyst or like the one IT guy that's in charge of security at the place or, whatever, like SOCs that are downsizing their amount of people, just SOAR-esque actions that
I call it all automation. I call it all everyone.
Yeah,
Like
it
this
is. It's all-
DevSecOps, like DevOps. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, to me, it's just all automated. Like I feel like there's a new term out there nowadays, like hyper automation or something like that. Right. And to me, it's just automate. Just automate the job. Make it. I mean, but I think that is that would be a good talk in general, just from a user experience standpoint, because I feel like security is just like they want to put in the easy answer, and there are never easy answers when you're putting in a new solution, because the business has to function at some level.
And it's really funny because like my opinion on this going in was that right away people are gonna say, no, I don't want to, mass lockout users or mass isolate endpoints or just kill all these services or whatever. I've talked to so many people that don't care, that are in the SMB market, that are just like, no, if it's the middle of the night and something happens, I just don't want to wake up. I will take care of it when I get into work tomorrow. I'm like, holy cow. Like, but I worked at a hospital, right? So like, there's no way that would have flown there. There's absolutely, like, you lock out a doctor's computer, like the computer in the OR, or like any of that stuff, like that's terrible. Like that's not going to fly. But like manufacturing, if they don't have a third shift, or car dealerships, or like you name it, like they don't care. Like that user's just out of luck. They'll have to call help desk in the morning.
Oh, that they're willing to have it locked out in the middle of the night. Yeah.
They just they want all the access cut off, and that admin just doesn't want to wake up in the middle of the night to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, again, at the end of the day, too, it's just all about. I feel like it's more and more about. At one point, we were all shouting about, you guys got to pay attention to security and just put basics in. But now it's like, we've realized that we have a seat at the table. People are talking to us, but guess what? Now we have to take into account the fact of money, because that's what they care about. They don't care about full security. Some people do, but I would say that general, it's like more about, that's why we have insurance now. It's like, we are willing to give this department this much money because the insurance will cover the rest of it. Right. So
and being able to put things in like automation that reduce the time to remediation. Just think about like all the staff and all the downtime and all the issues. Like we've talked about this before, right? Like what's the cost of a breach? That's, I mean, if you can shorten what that length is through automation somehow, like you can save a ton of money.
Yeah, even for like I like to hear that some people are like, we'll that person could be down for 6 hours. They might lose money because that person's now not working for 6 hours on a third shift, or they're off doing something else. But it's good to hear that some people are doing that. It sounds like maybe others aren't. But then that's why you need a SOC, right, or an MDR or whatever, to be able to look at it and see, okay, is this an actual issue? Because
some of them don't even care.
Well, because the bad guys are getting in and they're automating everything. As soon as they get in, they hit a button. They don't go through necessarily. They go in and go, what can I get to automate?
Yeah. Another topic I thought about was just like ripping apart pen test reports.
Please. Oh my gosh. I got a lot of stories on this one. Like
ripping apart pen test reports just from a detection perspective and like a defensive security and impact perspective, because there's so many things that I've seen on pen test reports that aren't detection engineers like rack their brains on, and they're like, you know what, like, yeah, you can detect this if you do this, 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 and this, and they don't want to. They're like, no, you should just be able to do it. I'm like, that's not how it works. How many pen tests have I seen like rogue AP detection on? I'm like, everything is an AP. Everything. I had that. My light bulb is an AP. My all of the Echo Dots I have, like all of those are rogue APs if you plug them in anywhere near a Meraki.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's definitely a message within security about like, how hard can this be? It's like, it's actually really hard. Have you ever worked in an environment that like, that's what I feel like too, is that I think pen test. Everyone's like, oh, I want to go to pen test because it's cool and do it. It's like, one, you're going to be writing these reports 60 to 7% of the time. I just want you to know, like, you have to have some good writing skills.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, like, if you really want to change, go work on the blue team, because it's like, yeah, we can lock this down. But guess what? There's just one little exception that is required, again, going back to the money thing, that makes this millions of dollars for this company. And it's really, really freaking bad. It's on XP too, by the way.
Yeah, right.
And they can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think to your point, yeah, that's there's definitely a perception of sometimes a lack of visibility from the pen test side of like because I've had to do that. I've been on both sides of it. So when I still worked at a healthcare company, worked at another one, I was working with developers on like us getting pen tested, but then on the opposite end of it, we would go pen test third parties because I ran the pen test team there. And so I saw like both sides of that as far as, one, we had good reports, but I also saw when we acquired a company, I saw the pen test report and it was like, this is hot garbage.
Yes.
And the CEO that the acquired, he's like, wow, you guys are really good at what you do. It's like, yeah, we are. Like, we're way better than a lot of pen test companies. But on the other side of it, one of the things that we got was like, oh, you have a chat window that someone can just put in a bunch of stuff and DDoS the chat window. And I was like, I'm just going to shut off the account. This is not a finding.
Right.
Like, I don't care. Like, if someone's going to attack my chat box, that account's just going to get, and you can probably automate that at this point. It's like, you probably just like, oh, so many requests, just shut it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just shut the account down.
Like, anymore.
That's not a finding. Sorry. And then, we had some other ones where it's like, all right, you guys said you can do this, prove it. And they're like, they hop on and they tried it and they couldn't do it. It's like, why is this in the report? Like, and I'm just bitching. I know yours is kind of a little bit different because you're talking about
not the same.
Is it the same?
Yeah, because like, and from a detection perspective, we're always coming in after the customer has gotten the report. And it looks like we don't know what we're doing, right? Because, obviously they ignore all the things that are in green that we detected that are actual,
they didn't actually have the alerts set up or
things
something.
Things that are attackers, actually
we caught him. You just didn't have it on.
Yeah. And then trying to politely say, no, like this, attackers don't do this.
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah.
Right? That's a lot. Like, I've never seen this anywhere documented in any attack ever. Yes, is it bad if they do it? Sure. Is it real freaking noisy and no one in their right mind is going to do this during an attack? Yes. And just trying to like explain that without seeming defensive is difficult.
Yeah. Without saying, I pretty much call them bullshit without.
Yeah, I'm like, I swear we know what we're talking about.
Well, and that's the problem too. Is there's just this could be a topic is the ego in the industry and like the fact that it's like people don't want to learn or have to feel like they have to, I don't know, say something or do something. It's just like I'm getting a lot of, me and some other people I know that have been in the industry, we've talked about just being disillusioned with the industry at this point. We've become the grumpy. I feel like, you remember when early on, I remember Jack Daniels, right? And I was like, God, it's like as a curmudgeon. It's like, now I kind of see his point. Like 10, 15 years later, it's like, okay, I see what Jack was coming from. It's very easy to fall down that hole of like, oh, this is so dumb, because you just start seeing the dumb more and more
all the time. Yeah. So there's a couple ideas that I have floating around that I want to cover, and I always like talking about like making security easy for small companies. So that's always a passion of mine that I like talking about. I was talking. We have a new marketing person at work. And I was talking to her about like the quality of our detections and like why they're so important. Because like you look at Splunk or any of the other like real big players out there, they have like their entire detection list public, right? Like, here's 300 detections in our platform. All of the queries are public. Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
And while that's great, there's a reason they're free. Right? Like, they're crap.
They're noise.
Has anyone ever tried to import all the Sigma rules and have a working SIM? No. Like that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason with all the testing that we do and the fact that we have a full dedicated staff to creating detections of the platform that we're not going to release that logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's another tooling. Go back to like product. That's another tooling. It's like we're dealing with one of the things I'm getting into is kind of nudge theory. Have you heard about this?
Mm-mm.
So in like nudge theory. So for example, one that a lot of people remember is January 6th of the last election cycle, where the Capitol building was stormed.
What? I'm joking.
Well, people like, I think 70%, I was reading about it, 70% of people were not even like there. Like they just showed up. I'm like, what's going on here? Oh, everyone's going to the building. We're going in. Right? And it's all the instigators were like miles away from the scene of the crime. So that's like a really good example of nudge theory, where people are putting stuff on social media or saying certain things or nudging people in a way to take action, right? You can flip that and do that from security awareness. I'm hearing it more in the security awareness field, where it's more of a positive side of it, right? Getting people to report stuff, getting people to identify certain things, but do it in small little bites instead of these 15, 40, 45 minute long training videos, instead of doing little things. So you're starting to see some more of these vendors do little things to do that. But looking at some of the getting behind the scenes on some of these, it's like to your point about like alerting, it's like alerting on like a malware thing, or someone clicked on a malicious link. I will tell you, there's a bunch of false positives.
Oh yeah.
On those. That makes it but they're all there. And it's like, there's a bunch of ones that's like, I've gone through the list of like 200 or 300, been like, I care about maybe 3 or 4 of these. And so to your point, you
only care about them if it actually impacted the user or the endpoint.
And if it was actually not a false positive. So clicking a malicious link, I was like, oh, this is perfect. So we like to let people know, hey, you clicked on a malicious link, things like that. We started getting our simulated fishes showing up in it, which they're already getting notified on that. Where I'm also, as part of my job, clicking on links in our reporting system. So I know I clicked on a malicious link and nothing ever fires, right? So it's like, this does, that kind of, but I mean, that goes back to the problem where people are like, oh, you just put this in, but then it doesn't work properly, or it's not going to really make a huge impact. So
why is it there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So to your point, it's like, and everyone comes up with all these great ideas, but it's like, have you ever worked in like an actual organization and seen like what actually makes an impact here?
Yeah.
What's going to actually, like you said, get us, and that's what I think a lot of, and 80% of it too, the work inside, the defense inside, that's what it is. And then there's 20% that's just, it's just tough. And like you said, the access points, right? Let's talk about a hospital, right? You're going to get access points of like boxes that are still running 2000 and Windows NT on it.
Yes.
And you can't touch those, but don't take them down because the person that manages them isn't sure if they reboot it, if they can bring it back online.
Exactly. Yep. The reasons why I'm glad I'm not an admin anymore.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't sound like on the other side of it, give or take, right? You got to listen to clients that are telling you you're wrong, and you're like, but no, I'm not really. And then you have to do it in the nicest way possible.
Yeah, and then but now I'm not on call.
There you go.
So there's
just behind the scenes.
There's a benefit.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know if you have a burnout's always a topic. I think I don't know if that's something near and dear to your heart if you thought about that, but that's always. I feel like a lot of people have talked about it though. So.
And more people are too. I mean, I'm on podcasts all the time, and I just wrote an article through our PR company on it, and like it's not a topic that seems to be even getting any better.
Well, yeah. Because again, that's a hard thing, and that's going back to the ego, right? Is you really have to question your ego about stuff and recognize, and then also people can't, my thing, and this is probably why I haven't been allowed to be Keynote, is like I would like to get up and talk about how much managers suck, just in general, right? And talking probably to a group of managers. Not to say there's not good ones, but I just in my career, it's like 80 to 90% of managers just haven't, because they don't know what they're doing. And I don't fault them necessarily, but management, especially in like our field, everyone talks about this technical leader. It's like, if you become there's no such thing as a technical leader, right? Because if you're still in there doing the weeds, I've been there and I've done this. I've done technical thing and I doubled the work for my person. Like the person was like, I have to now undo what you just did and then do it the right way. And that's when I was like, you know what? I need to stay off and just make sure they're getting paid and compensated well, right?
Yeah.
That's the focus, is you're kind of shifting to kind of taking care of your people. You're still focused on the people, but it's like, if you like being hands-on keyboard or you're a technical person, you're going to have to find another outlet. And that's kind of what I did, as I actually picked golf, because it's a very technical sport. So I didn't think I would miss it. The technical side. I am not generally, everyone's like, oh, you're passionate about this. I'm like, I'm passionate about feeding my family and playing video games. I don't, and solving problems. But,
sure. Speaking of golf, did you see Antec, the whole like new thing they did in Florida?
The TGL? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so cool.
Do you like that?
Yes.
Have you been into golf before? Or
I'm not a golf fan, right?
But you like it.
Tonight is like the first time I'll ever go to Top Golf. I'm going tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
Top golf's fun too. I take my family. I've gone the last 2 weekends with my family and they love it.
Yeah. So I'm not huge into golf, but watching that, so cool. Just like the technology behind it and the whole idea that they're like able to do that inside with the golf course and everything's super neat.
Yeah, like the green is like, it'll change undulation and stuff.
I know.
So it's kind of like, I can't remember how many pistons, but it's got like hundreds of pistons behind the scene that change, and they're changing like the hole location and everything, which just boggles my mind. But that's good to hear too, because I really enjoy it. People are talking about ratings and other stuff. But if people like you that don't golf like on a regular basis and don't even know who the players are, but you're like, this is really cool to watch.
I know Tiger Woods.
That's good to hear. Yeah, well, everyone knows Tiger Woods. And outside of that, can you name anybody else?
No.
Who's this Xander guy?
No idea. Yeah, I don't know about any of them. I was at like a brewery with Matt, and we had to ask the waiter, like, what is this? And he like stopped and like started telling us all about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I think it's really great, and I think that they're just starting out with it, and it also fills this kind of downtime of sports. Like there's not outside of like hockey and basketball, like football is winding down and baseball hasn't started. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're really into that. But yeah, I picked that up, and that definitely scratched my and I didn't have to worry about like needing to be hands-on. In fact, I'm trying to get away from the computer as much as possible at this point.
Same. Yeah, I mean, I'm on it still a lot.
Well, you're remote too, so I have an opportunity to go in, which I enjoy, because then I can sit there and have conversations with people and kind of definitely recognize during the pandemic, like Zoom fatigue is a real thing. Like staring at a screen, and because I play video games, I was playing it 18 hours a day. I was on a screen 18 hours a day.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. So I was just exhausted.
Yeah. Trying to think what else I do outside of that. I don't know. I draw, but that's it.
Yeah, you draw a lot. That's just, you should just have a presentation on drawing. Just get up there and just
draw live.
Just draw.
I did what was it? Ninja One had a holiday Festivus or something in December. And there's just a bunch of people on camera, and they were just like talking about stuff, and it was just like all like a bunch of us tech related and all this kind of stuff. And I set it up where I had my camera mounted on my microphone boom and then pointed down and then like turned or whatever, and I just let people watch me draw. And it was, I don't know, it was pretty cool. Like, it's nice to not be on camera all the time.
Are you on camera? Well, do you still do promotional stuff, or?
Yeah. I mean, I would say 2 to 3 things a month. I'm on podcasts or webcasts or whatever.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, you're still doing the podcast with Brian, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's about once a month.
Yeah, everybody does video podcasts, and I've kind of been like, I don't know if I want to. I'm trying to do more content. That's why I reached out to you about like, hey, are you cool with doing this on? But then again, I got to now, and I'm like, I don't really want to do it.
Like video content is, I don't know. It's I never feel like I'm video ready.
No one. Well, and that's the thing is like it takes like, you think a podcast, like podcast in itself is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
And then like there's extra work that goes on. We're recording this. This is the fun part. You get to record it, but then I had to do the scheduling. Through show notes together, but now I got to go edit it. Now I got to promote it. Like that's a whole do all the other stuff with it. And I'm just like, video is just a whole nother level of stuff that you have to do. And you got to go pull stuff out and potentially edit it. And if you're really good, you're putting graphics up and all this other. And I'm just like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, you could just start doing TikToks, and then you only have to work on it for a little bit.
I don't have it. I didn't have it on my phone when they removed it from the Play Store, so I can't buy them anymore. I can't unless I buy a phone with it.
Can you get it again or no?
As far as I know, what happened was they like Apple and Google still pulled it from their Play Store, but TikTok was allowed to continue operating for 90 days.
Okay.
They got like a 90-day extension, but they have to try to sell it too. And if they're not going to, if they're not going to sell it, it's going to be gone. But yeah, there's like, I was reading about this, like there's a whole second market for phones with TikTok still on it, because a bunch of people deleted it thinking, oh, this is the end of it, because they shut down like the Saturday night before January 20th. And then, Trump talked about, we'll give them an extension, and they brought it back online, but the Apple and Google Play stores didn't put it back on because they're not going to continue to offer. It's like some legal thing. Like there's a whole legal thing behind it, and reason why they don't want to get in trouble for having it past the ban. Because essentially what Trump's executive order is that it just adds an extension, but they still have to take it off like the Play stores and stuff. Are you looking to see if it's still up there?
Yeah. No. It's on. I have it on my phone. But I don't really use it I look at the messages or the forwarded TikToks that my kids send me, and that's it.
Well, see, and then that's the thing. I've got plenty of people around me that use it. I'm very I've become a technology minimalist as much as I can. So I don't have social media outside of, I do LinkedIn because I'm on there. I still have a Twitter account because there's still some stuff on there that I like to use it for, but very rarely. Just got rid of Instagram. But that's about it. Because I see social media. It's
a disease.
It's junk food as far as for your brain. So like I try to have a clean diet, and I think that's also something important for the mental side of it. Is because even on LinkedIn, I still do it. Is I doom scroll. I just start going through it. I'm like, I'm just scrolling. I'm not even doing anything or reading everything. I'm just looking for something that's going to interest me. And I'm like, well, I could be doing something else. That's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Gonna be interesting to me.
Like think of all the time I wasted in my life on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But I did meet a lot of people via that, right? Yeah,
I mean, that's it. Like again, you can. I'm not saying people shouldn't have it, but have a purpose for it. If you're just on there for, because that's what a lot of people use it for, right? Is they need it to fill in the dead time space,
right?
And they can't just sit and just not have nothing to do. And I was one of those people.
I'm still very guilty of that. But
yeah, I am still guilty of that. I got to have something to do. I can't just sit
with
here.
Other things.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying too. Is that I still have that. I think a lot of people still have it, but social media just encourages it more, and there's not really much value I'm getting out of just for a few minutes hopping on there.
Yeah.
Even if I, and again, I threw something up on LinkedIn about DeepSeek. I was like, why do I care? Like, because everyone's talking about it. And I looked at some of the stuff on it, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't impact me. It's not, it's a new AI engine, but
I have a hard enough time keeping up with the stuff that does impact me. Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to pull back as much as possible. And I've read a lot of Stoicism, and they had to deal with that kind of stuff even 2,000 years ago. They talked about the streets of Rome just being filled with distractions. And that's the other thing is
like jugglers,
prostitutes, like history just repeats itself. It's just you just have different technology at the time, but we're all inherently kind of the same humans that we were 2,000 years ago. If you had their technology and we had, if we had their technology and they had ours, the same types of things would be happening.
Sure.
So, they might be blown away by it, but we might be like, this sucks. Give me my phone back. But it's still, we would, with enough time, we would end up doing the same. And, it's the same things.
I couldn't go back then because I really like modern plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've watched some history stuff and read just about how bad everything probably smelled back then. Mm-hmm. And I have too sensitive of a nose to do that.
Yep. Well, cars fix the horses pooping in cities problem.
Right.
Now
Yep.
it created a new problem in our environment, but still,
Right.
it solved the
Right.
problem. Yeah, there used to be horse shit everywhere.
Yeah.
You think New York's bad now?
Yeah.
Imagine it back before the car was. Well, you're also going to ShowMeCon. What are you excited about ShowMeCon?
ShowMeCon is in May, right?
No, June.
June. So close. I'm not worried about that yet because it's too far away. I have to figure out a lot of stuff before then. I have to write a talk.
Yeah, you do have to write a talk. So what's your process for talk writing?
Gosh, I usually have a handful of ideas that are always like spinning around in my head of things that I would like to write or talk about. And then I also have like, oh, this is a really cool piece of research that I did, or this is a cool piece of work that somebody that I work with did, and they don't like giving talks. So, for example, I have one where we wanted to detect responder. And if you know how a responder works, it's pretty difficult to detect unless you have an agent constantly running and pretending that it's like answering or like requesting file shares, right? So we wrote a script that runs. We didn't. My boss, our CTO did, and we have a detection around it. So it's a script that like finds out a bunch about the computer itself and like consistently listens to see if anything is answering the responder requests. And yeah, so it was a talk all about that. But RSA didn't pick that. So I didn't write it yet.
Have you spoken to RSA yet?
Yeah, I spoke in 2022 or 2023. I can't remember which one.
I feel like RSA would be a tough one to get into.
Yeah, and I didn't even write the CFP. The CFP was written we had a really good technical writer at the time in marketing, and she wrote it and submitted it, and I didn't even look at it first. She did it, and I got accepted. I'm like, all right, well, I guess that's the talk I'm writing. It was a good one. It was all about like what sysmon is and why it's important compared to other Windows logs.
Yeah, we did that. We talked about that previously. Like we've had you on the podcast. I think we did that last year, actually. Yeah.
So like that's where all of that came from. Was her submitting it to RSA and being like, well, I guess that's what I'm writing.
I've done that in years past where I've submitted multiple talk topics and the early ones, and then I was like, all right, they picked this one. This is because I tried to do multiple talks one year, and I was like, this is no, I need one talk. Yeah, because I don't want to have to write multiple and have to.
See, the thing is, I used to always make sure my talk was almost fully written before I would submit, and I don't do that anymore. I submit a CFP, and then if it gets picked,
I do the same thing. Yeah,
I write it right. Yeah. So like, I already know. You already know the abstract, and you already know like a general outline of how you want it to go. And that's what they're looking for. So you put that in, and like, then you make it when it gets selected. Because otherwise I'm not going to write a talk for nobody that's going to listen to it.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I've done the same thing where I was like, I've had two different abstracts, I'm trying to think of the one that I submitted that just didn't get picked up. And there are talks too that some like, it'll get picked up at every conference I submit to, and then ones that it's like only like a few of them are interested in it. Yeah. And
then I've had like real bad CFPs that I didn't write, that a PR firm wrote, get selected. And I'm like, I don't want to write this talk. So then I titled it the same, but I made it a different talk.
Made it a different talk? Nice. I like that. The nuances of presenting and talk writing. Yeah. I think and talking to Dave, like this is kind of, I guess, freeing then, because you get to kind of pick whatever you want, because Dave's just gonna have to listen to whatever you decide.
I know, right? He didn't even ask what I wanted to talk about. I honestly may do like, just stand up there and try and do a stand-up set.
He's done that too before, so he really has no leg to stand on, because I think he had someone bail. I remember that. I think it was several years ago. I can't remember if it was like 2017 or 2018. And he got up with the guitar, just started like riffing.
That's hilarious.
He just ad-libbed, like he just improv everything.
You can play trumpet.
Huh?
I can play trumpet.
Bring your trumpet and just go up on stage and play your trumpet. Yes, that'd be phenomenal.
Solo concert. I've not practiced in years, so that'll be super interesting.
All you have to do is just add some sort of concept like CIA, and then just start blowing on the trumpet.
This is my musical interpretation of what the CIS is doing.
That sounds great. I love that. I think you should do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm doing, I like doing riffs on like popular culture. So like last 2 years I've done Security Hitchhiker's Guide to X, whatever it was. Last year was threat modeling. The year before, I can't remember it. It was one of my favorite ones that I put together. Oh, API security.
Okay.
That was an interesting one because everyone's like I dealt with APIs, but that's what I like about Talks to is you actually get to dig into a topic that you know about. But then once you start digging in and want to feel like you know what you're speaking about because you're getting up in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah.
You want to at least make sure that you sound somewhat or actually have accurate information.
I love doing incident walkthroughs.
There you go.
Like from a log perspective and detection perspective, like this is what you can see during an incident and what happens step by step. Like
I think that's
doing that.
That's tremendously valuable. You have to find the right stuff and obfuscate it. But that's what I'm really focused on now more too, is doing more like mine's more like here, like with the Hitchhiker's Guide stuff, you could do it almost like a chapter book type of thing, like and have a little bit of fun with it. But like something like that, I want to do more stories around stuff. So I'm actually doing Timothy D. Block Presents Fun with Fishes, which is a total Big Bang Theory ripoff of like Sheldon Cooper Fun with Flags.
Sure.
But do Fun with Fishes. So I want to talk about because for me, like I feel like a lot of security teams just stand up a phishing program and just fish people, and they're like, oh, and it's more of like a gotcha mentality versus. I think phishing should be more about a practice mentality of here are opportunities to learn on, because what I do is I just flip whatever we're getting from the outside because that's what we're seeing, flip them over on from the outside and giving people exposure to it. And so I use a healthcare term to analogy of where I'm vaccinating our hair or bug
Attacked by a fuzzy. Yeah. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah. Are there more?
Not.
But yeah, so it kind of changes some people's mindset around that, and a lot of people don't actually, I think, put a lot of thought into it either. But I've started seeing some really good, and that's what I want to do is I just want to I'll have metric data and stuff behind it to show that it actually works. But then you can talk about, like you're talking about with some of the walkthrough of like, how does a fish actually work? Because that's one of my favorite bits of content to put together and present on is seeing an actual fish, and then what are the scenes behind it, because I usually have like a sandbox or a machine that I start going through, and you can see tactics changing along the way too, and that goes kind of back to what Blumira does, right? Is detect some of that stuff, and activity. So that's what I'm thinking. Well, I again, Dave is kind of giving me free reign, so he's like, just submit something, you'll get accepted.
I was gonna say, do you want to keynote with me? Well,
we could.
We'll just go back and forth.
Yeah. What do we want a keynote on?
I don't know.
This is how I get a keynote.
But then you could also record it.
I could. Well, we are doing a panel. I'm doing all sorts of stuff there now. I think Mental Health Hackers is gonna have a booth there, right?
Yes. Yeah, we have the room, the one room.
So we'll probably, I will have, I think Dave's gonna be like in the community area. He wants to build out some of his villages, which I think is great. But I'll have like an Explore Sec desk, table. That's what I was thinking. And I was thinking about, you tell me if this is a dumb idea, just setting up like, here's an hour, come be on a podcast, and then talk about whatever that person wants to talk about. Now I will have full edit at the end, but
you could do even like fire talk podcasts.
Ooh.
Like Firecast or something, right? Where you have like people sign up for 15, 20-minute increments.
Yeah. I like that. That's a great idea. And then just have them come on, and then
come pitch your idea. Tell me about what you're working on. Do whatever. Yeah.
What do you want to? Oh, I like the fire talk. I might not use that, but it's going to be like shouting at the clouds or something along those. Yeah. I'll throw it in AI and see what it comes up with. That's really good. But I like that idea really. So yeah, we'll have that. I've already suckered Dave into letting me MC some of his stuff, which again, he's just going to give me a microphone and then walk away, and I'm going to be able to say whatever I want. Be able to start a keynote there.
He's very trusting.
He is. Yeah. I wouldn't doubt Dave's great. So, So I've got that, but we're going to do the panel again. And this time it's going to be on the schedule. So people will actually show her up. And I will make sure I hit the record button this time.
Good idea. Do you want me to show up, or do you?
No, absolutely.
Okay, right.
I would expect you to come to that one as well too.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and you're keynoting, so we know it won't conflict with any sort of panel I'm doing. But, I think my Fun with Fishes one is going to be like a backup in case someone bails at that point. Because I definitely I think we definitely like doing the panel because we had a great conversation last year. It's just unfortunate that I wasn't recording for 80% of it, but
well.
Yeah. Anything else you're excited about for ShowMeCon?
I really like that town. What is it? It's not St. Louis. It's
St. Charles.
St. Charles.
Or is it St. James?
We had such a good time, like just walking the little shops and stuff downtown, that this next year we're gonna make sure we're there for a couple more days.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, we're gonna get in early because we're gonna do the same thing where they have a weekend. This year my kids are out of school too, so I will definitely be coming down that Thursday or Friday before to go. I want to go check out the training a little bit, maybe record something there, but then I would like to go around like you're talking about, just go visit the town a little bit, walk around.
It's really cute.
Yep. Cool. What do you want to promote?
What do I want to promote? Always Blumira, because that's who pays me.
Yeah. You've been there for a while, and I was thinking about that the other day.
I just hit 7 years.
Yeah, so you've been there for a while, which to me says like that's a good company to work for. The tech industry is averaging 2 to 3 years.
This is I think the longest I've ever been anywhere.
Yeah. Well, and I
6.5 years.
One, I know they support you, right? Because you've been through a couple different roles. We've discussed some of those, and it's good that they're changing because they want you to stay in there. Social media, again, they always support you, and even like mental health hackers, right? Which is a side project.
Yeah, they are very good at supporting everything that I do. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
So that. What else do I want to?
Mental health hackers for sure.
Always.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything new that I'm really doing, other than like the product stuff at work. If anybody wants to talk to me about their pain points in SIM, I'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, because you build all the products behind the scene. Well, for Blumira customers.
Yeah, I'm trying to like check my biases because like I was so ingrained in like the doing everything and like in the community and all of this kind of stuff that I just don't want to make sure I'm assuming that I know how people do things anymore.
Listening is that could be a talk too in itself, is actually like listening to people and what they actually want instead of telling them what they want.
Yes.
I feel like security people have a problem with that too.
Yes. Because I mean, before I was just all about solutioning.
Right.
Like I know what the problem is. I know that that's not being detected. I'm going to work on getting that into a detection. Right. That's the problem's super evident. I am a solution person. Now it's flipped, and it's definitely different.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for hopping on to. Yeah,
of course.
I don't know what I'm gonna name this episode. It was gonna be like a conversation with Amanda Brilliant.
Yeah, right. Where we decide what I'm actually gonna speak about.
Did we decide? I don't think we've kind of been all over the place.
Really?
I might make an appearance in your keynote.
I'll put a poll out there that people can vote. What do you want me to do my keynote on?
What do you want me to talk about? Like, what do you want to hear from me about?
Yeah. What do you want? Or just do an AMA for an hour.
That could be fun too. I'm doing that internally for security awareness, and I've heard that's like I've never done it, but we're doing it. So I think an Ask Me Anything might be I don't know. And I can walk around with the mic and like kind of moderate that too.
Yeah, just poke people like, no, I know you have a question. Like,
and we can. I mean, you can get some questions beforehand, and then we can just go to the audience if someone in the audience has a question. That might actually make a really good keynote.
I'll think about that. I like that idea.
Yeah, that or it could be a talk or something. I don't know that, or we can set up at my Explore. If you don't do it for the keynote, we should do it for the Explore Sec stuff too.
Yeah,
for sure. We could do an Ask Me Anything and just have a group of people.
Yeah.
Ask Amanda anything.
Perfect.
And I got some questions queued up. We can talk about our trip between Indianapolis and St. Louis.
I brought that up the other day because someone asked me where was a trip that you took or vacation that you took or something where nothing like turned out how you expected it. That was it.
Was it really?
That was it.
It takes 4 hours and it took us 8 to get.
Right. That was my trip.
That was epic though. That was absolutely epic.
Yeah. And then my friend told me about his where it was him and his brother, I think, they were traveling from like California to Ohio in a car and their alternator died. So they would actually buy a battery at every Walmart. And they just mapped their trip. So like by the time their battery died, it would be bad and they would return it at the next Walmart. And they did that like 20 times across the US.
Just
until they could get back home so they could replace their alternator.
Why wouldn't they just replace their? I don't know. Okay, is an alternator that hard to replace?
When you are not from there, I don't know.
It might take a few hours and trying to get it. I don't know. I like that hack. That's definitely like a hacking the system.
For sure. Ours was more interesting though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right.
Cool. I'm gonna stop the recording. I don't know if you have anything else.